So, 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 my boyfriend just gave me this mic, which he snatched, taxed, took, revoked from his little brother. Well, actually, pause. It was his first. Then he gifted it to his little brother, and then his little brother left it, and some other things, and we gently taxed. So here I am, testing, 1, 2, 3, the mic. I know and hope. Actually, I don't know because I haven't listened, but I just hope these whispers are crispy, just like the donuts. Finger flutters are so much better when your hands are ashy because where is the noise? Y'all hear that? Because I don't. Hello, people of the internet. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new. It's our favorite season, guys. Spooky season. And today we shall tis the season. I compiled a few Reddit stories upon special request to do a video on creepy encounters and just creepy app mountain stories. But as always, before we get started, don't forget to like and subscribe. Please and thank you. And if you have your own spooky, creepy, scary, crazy, whack, just any story that you would like me to read on this channel, share it to that email down below. The story could literally be about anything. It could be your own spooky, scary, crazy experience, or it could be a no sleep type story, and completely made up a 2-sentence horror story. Literally anything. Am I the asshole story? Because I hope to explore different avenues of Reddit and just content. And as always, if you're feeling generous and you wanna dip your favorite sleep tryst, buy me a coffee, you know. This is how you do so. Anything is greatly appreciated. Ew, I hate doing my hearts this way. The correct way is this way. There is a right and wrong. Because what the fuck is this one? I don't even. Let me stop before I accidentally make a gang sign. Let me stop yapping and get into some action. The lip gloss fell out. The first story. I'll make a shorter story from a longer one involving sensitive auras. But once I was with a girl on Big Frog Mountain at dusk, miles away from anyone. We decided to walk up a trail when right behind the car, I stepped in a mud puddle with odd-looking light, brownish water. I pointed the unusual color out to her, and then we started walking. Not far up the trail, she started getting scared, and we went back to the car. In the car, we started making out, while lying in the front seat, and she had her hand draped out the window. I felt an odd sensation in my back. It had happened before when people were behind me, and told her to pull her hand in, which she did. A few minutes later, I felt the sensation in my back again, but it felt more urgent. I rolled her window up, but being a horny-ass teenager, continued with the make-out session. A few minutes later, it felt like someone had stuck a live wire to my back. I sat up, started the car, and headed back down the mountain. She was obviously confused and asked me what was wrong. I replied that I didn't know, but something was wrong somewhere. We went back to my parents' house and was assured by them the family was okay. Having calmed down some, we ate a little dinner, then started to leave. After I opened the car door for her, I walked around the back of the car. While walking, I glanced back at the car and saw handprints, the same color of the mysterious mud puddle on the car. The last one was over the back window, and it was obvious someone was watching us while inching their way to the front driver's side window. When I saw the handprints, it was like being hit with a bolt of lightning, and I knew what had happened. Cold chills ran all over me. I got her out of the car, and as soon as she saw the print, she knew too. This is the absolute truth, so help me. And I'll never, ever forget it. Bitch, me neither. The thought of somebody, like, watching you, let alone, like, being a creep like that during vulnerable moments with your lover. Good night. I hope y'all are sleeping by now. I hope my whispers are so good you're knocked out right now, because I'm gonna preface this. I gathered stories and I skimmed over them, but I didn't actually like reread them because I like giving you guys my live reactions. But like, I don't know what's to come, and I know it's gonna be worse. I was expecting like Wendigo stories, or like The Hills Have Eyes and The Descent, you know, type stories. Okay. Mini rant is over. Let's get back into it. In 2007, I was DD, stone cold sober, from my boyfriend and friends. He and I went back to his parents' house, southern West Virginia. His parents were out of town, and he was pissed drunk. So I got him to bed and went out back to have a little, I repeat, have a little smoke. This is your moment to also take a hit. Side quest conversation as we take a little wine, take a little smoke break ourselves, take a little water break if you're sober, power to ya, whatever you need, little intermission. I actually went to Thailand in my absence. I smoked a bunch of weed, and then I went to South Korea and completely like knocked it, only drank, because weed is not, it's a no-no. And then I came back and I was just kind of chilling on weed for a while, and you guys would have been so mind blown, because you know me. If you're new here and you haven't seen my other videos, this is a normal thing. We welcome it here. Moral of the story, in my absence, there was a period of time where I genuinely wasn't smoking and or smoking that much, and it was a decent time. Back on my bullshit. End of intermission. So she went out to have a little smoke. Typical house, a baller sitting at the bottom of the mountain with about half an acre fenced and running up the hillside. I didn't turn light, and it was a typical Appanite darkness. Sat down on the porch swing, lit up, and all of a sudden hear what sounds like a woman being absolutely bloody murdered about 100 feet away from me. I threw up my cig and got in the house quick. Turned on the porch light, floodlight, and saw what can only be described as a huge black panther running back and forth inside the fence, absolutely screaming and screeching its head off because I guess it thought it was trapped in the fence. Once it jumped in, watched it until it figured it out, and jumped back over and ran off up the mountain. I think only one person has truly ever believed me. Well, I believe you. And that's terrifying. When my mother was just a girl in the 1940s, she was spending the night at her aunt's house. She was spending the night at her uncle and aunt's house in southern West Virginia. The house was in a holler, and her grandmother's house was at the head of the holler. A big field separating the two, with a big sycamore tree right smack dab in the middle of the field. Her aunt sent her to her grandmother's house to get either a cup of sugar or flour. She said she didn't hurry back, and she played until almost dark. She started back down the path to the other house, which went by the sycamore tree. She said she got right under the tree when something in the tree let out a yell that sounded like a woman screaming, and she threw a cup away, ran toward the house, and met her uncle coming out with his rifle to shoot what was most likely a mountain lion. He didn't find the mountain lion, and they never found the cup she threw away. She yeeted that bitch. Yeeted it into oblivion. As you should in a terrifying moment. I live in the heart of Appalachia, and this is easily the most terrifying story of my experiences. This story may be short, or it may be drawn out. I'm recounting these events as I type, and it was honestly one of the most horrifying things I have experienced. This happened maybe 2 to 3 years ago. I live in southern West Virginia, and have for my entire life. The woods and mountains around every direction you look in nighttime is a darkness that you can never dream of unless experienced. I was with a friend. I'll call him Mark. Mark was at my house one evening, doing the usual things, watching UFC, playing Xbox, etc. It was extremely late when we finally got bored and decided to go for a little walk on a nearby trail to no other than smoke a joint. This is not a particularly long trail, but it is very dense in the woods that surround it, and it is easy to get freaked out when thinking of your surroundings. When we finally get about halfway into the trail, about 30 minutes in, where we stop, pack our joint, and stand on the trail to chill and talk. The forest is very alive tonight. There are always noises in the woods, but the amount of animal activity for the time was unsettling. At this point, it was probably past 1 a.m. This was strange and kind of eerie, but not alerting as any sort of predator animal in the area may cause a disturbance. We finish smoking and continue our walk when almost immediately the forest falls dead silent. And as soon as the forest goes quiet, there is a voice. It almost sounds like a mocking humanoid voice, shaky and uncertain, almost like an old child's toy.
like the ones with the crackly speaker and robotic voice.
If you know what I mean. This immediately sets us off. We bolt directly down the opposite length of the trail, but the sound does not gain distance. It doesn't get closer per se, but no matter how far we ran down the trail, this eerie voice remains the same volume, going over and over with no quieting or stopping. At this point, I am convinced that we are in genuine danger, something I have felt very few times. Finally, after sprinting for God knows how long, we exit the trail, gasping for breath and almost at verge of tears of how frightening this was. We began to exit the trail, and about 5 minutes from the exit there is a bone-shaking, heart-stopping, murderous scream from directly behind us. I know what a mountain lion sounds like. This was not an animal. This was not someone playing or watching a movie. This scream sent birds flying from nests and made my heart drop to my stomach. It was the most genuinely depraved and violent scream that I have ever heard. This is a true story, and everyone I've told it to has brushed it off as false, which seems to be a common occurrence in any of the spooky, scary, any Reddit thread story that seems bewildering. And I'm just like, guys, in the world we live in this fucked up world that we live in, do you really deem that impossible? Are you dumb or are you stupid? Like, my heart would be thumping in my butthole. Panic attack, drive me to the hospital. I'm having heart palpitations. The next story is a little lengthy, which we love here. So if you ever send me your own story, I don't care how long it is. The longer the better, because that means a longer video for you all. Oh wow, I feel this in my bones. My uncle, mom's brother, had a farm in southeast West Virginia since the 70s, long before I came into this world. Mom is the oldest of 5, and my uncle built a bunch of houses on the farm so family could use it whenever. Some lived there, and others, like my family, visited often. My mother and older sister and I would go for weeks on end to spend time with family, and I always loved it because I have a ton of cousins and was the baby for a long time. So mostly I tagged along with my cousins and felt extremely safe, like it was my happy place. I don't really remember anything totally out of the ordinary when I was really little, other than I remember an imaginary friend whom I exclusively played with at the farm. Nowhere else. And we moved extensively for my dad's job, so I've lived in many different places. What I remember after age 5 was suddenly being old enough to not have someone walk with me to and from the houses, which I thought was the coolest. The bee's knees, you know. They didn't say that, I said that. But that is the coolest thing ever as a kid, like getting little doses of independence. It's such like a dopamine rush, you know, like. So, I used to explore, back to your regularly scheduled program. My uncles liked to bow hunt, and had taken me a few times not too far into the woods, so I was able to go back on my own and find little tree platforms they had built to hunt from. I thought they were cool little tree houses. By the way, this story was a comment to the other one. Your story lot like the first time I ever took off by myself in the woods without another family member with me. It was in the winter. I wanted to be out in the snow and explore. So I found my way up the mountain. That is what I called it. But in fact, it was probably just a massive hill. And I looked into the trees. I couldn't find the spot I was looking for and got pretty frustrated with my 8-year-old self. So I sat down by the creek to catch my breath and figure out where I was. I couldn't have been sitting more than about 3 minutes when something let out a scream. I can only describe as blood-curdling. I thought it was a fox, most likely, until I heard another voice crying, just weeping and wailing, and the sorrow was palpable. My cousins had always told scary stories about the Appalachia, and I figured that they had followed me into the woods and were trying to scare me, scared the pants off of me for, shits and giggles. I called out like, "Okay guys, this isn't fucking funny." He didn't say that, but he did say this isn't funny. Because it's not. Like, don't play like that. If you play like that, you're not fucking funny. Enough, they say. And followed my footprints in the snow as fast as I could back to the farm. The screaming and crying did not stop. Stayed consistent as I moved, which really made me convinced it had to be my cousins. I don't think I heard words, just crying and screaming. But it was not pleasant. Made my way back to the main house, my uncle's house, which was the biggest on the property and visible from the edge of the woods, and absolutely booked it. Ran full tilt to get to the kitchen door. I remember getting through the door and slamming it behind me because I was a combo of terrified and annoyed that my cousins were playing a prank on me. The closest cousin in age is 9 years older than me, so I was often the butt of the pranks. Well, wouldn't you know it, every family member was accounted for in the living room/kitchen. The older male cousins and my uncles were in the kitchen putting their snow boots and coats on to come look for me. I had apparently been gone for several hours, and they were worried. According to my mom, I was white-faced. My hands were covered in scratches through my mittens. I guess I must have fallen or something. They were so worried I had disappeared. I should add, I set off my cousins to walk to my uncle's, and had decided to take a detour and didn't tell anyone. Oops, I was 8, and really didn't think about how that might be bad. Mom said I looked like I had seen a ghost. I don't know where I did that. I asked, this is serious. I asked if anyone had come out of the woods to look for me. They said no, we've been looking at different houses and we're just about to come look for you because they saw my footprints head into the woods. I told them about where I went and what I heard, and my uncle, whose property it was, said, oh shit, I think you probably ran into the witch. I'm over here thinking, oh, some crazy lady lives in the woods and I probably stumbled near her cottage. No, the witch was just what they called the unknown entity that roamed the woods, screaming, crying, mimicking people's voices, and just giving people a good old sense of doom and dread. No one had a straight answer about possible folklore or anything like that. let's move. Let's pick up and move you over here. Okay? Okay. Who knows? One day this bitch can level up and touch you, maybe in the physical realm. And we don't have the time. We don't have the time. Back to your regularly scheduled program. Scared the living daylights out of me. And while I've been back to the farm over the years, I can tell you, I have never once set foot near the tree line, even as an adult. I was grateful my family didn't think I was crazy, but they said a general rule is to not be in the woods alone. So, I listened. To my knowledge, nothing physical, hallelujah, has ever happened with anyone. And this entity, more of a prankster than anything, but whew, the Appalachian has some wild stuff. I definitely remember some stuff happening during the week. We had my aunt's funeral when I was 21, and random voices or red eyes or smoke apparitions on this wood edge, but I never went to check them out after that one incident. ASMR standing ovation, because I feel like people are too quick to investigate. Don't do that shit. Don't do that. If you value your life, don't do that. Use that one brain cell. Kick it in high gear and hightail it out of there so you can go home and get high yourself. Amen. The Cherokee have a story about a female monster called, quote, Spearfinger, or, I do not want to butcher this word, so I'm going to put it here. If anybody is familiar with Spearfinger and is knowledgeable of this pronunciation and just knowledgeable about Cherokee culture in general, please comment down below. Give me some fun facts. Spearfinger is very stony, wearing a stone dress, and on her right hand is where her finger topped, and on her right hand is a long finger topped with a spear point. Whew. I read spear joint in my head and I was like, hey. When she walks, her favorite place is Whiteside Mountain. The rustling of her dress sounds like a thunder, but Spearfinger is very dangerous because she's like a vampire. She is a shapeshifter. She can change her appearance to look like an old woman or a young girl, and she can trap people by pretending to need help. Once the victim is off guard, she pierces the top of their head with the spear-tipped finger and drains their life energy. This is how Spearfinger lives for all the time, by feeding on unwary souls wandering the Appalachia trails. So I was in Pennsylvania enjoying the rocks, as one does in Pennsylvania. I was in a campsite which had a shelter just south of the popular trail town. I rolled in a little late for my usual after-hiker midnight, 9:30 or so, and noticed a couple already sleeping in the shelter. They looked to have older gear but sacked out, and I tried as hard as I could to sneak into the shelter so as to not wake them, and set up my roll on the far left of the shelter. About 10:30, another hiker came into the shelter. I am a light sleeper, and he was quiet, woke me up and set up on the far right. Come morning, I woke up as I usually do on trail before dawn. I noticed the two hikers that were there were gone, which I found strange, as I am, as I said, a light sleeper, and usually notice such things. It was also really early to get out, but I figured they had been very quiet and got out early. When the hiker that came in person in the shelter. Going into the town the next day, I heard a couple had been killed in that shelter about 10 years ago. And a lot of the locals thought the shelter was haunted. Did I see ghosts? Bitch, is that a question? Yes, you saw ghosts. That was the last story. Angelic lighting as I end this video. I have a work event at 2:30. That's ghetto. I hate my job. I wish this was my full-time job, but your girl be fucking around too much. And that's the note I'm going to end on. I hope you guys have a lovely, 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 lovely sleep. Lovely time relaxing, whatever you're doing. Again, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below. Give me all the tea. Give me all the recommendations. Tell me about yourselves. Just comment. And if you have your own Reddit-like story, whether it be real or fake, 2 sentences, super long, send it my way to this email at the bottom of the screen. Please and thank you. I would love to do a subscribers stories video. Flood this motherfucking inbox right now. If you're ever feeling generous and you wanna dip your favorite sleep just then this is how you do so. Anything is greatly appreciated. Okay, guys. Good night. Good day. Go be jolly. Go to a pumpkin patch. Do fuck shit with your friends. Or just go to sleep. Namaste. Have a nice day.